Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Salenti, and it's Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. And we have with us once again, very fortunate to be with him, Judge Andrew Napolitano. And by the way, this is the man that I believe that should become our Attorney General. But of course, considering the people that Trump's picked already, I doubt it. Judge, thanks for being here today.
No, you're welcome, Gerald. The transition team, as I understand it, this is why we don't know who the new Attorney General will be, is divided. Half want to appoint an avenging angel who will prosecute and persecute everybody who's tormented Trump in the past 8 years, even though federal criminal statutes have a limitation of 5 years. And half want to appoint somebody who's more conciliatory, who will turn the page, who will enforce federal laws and forget about all of Trump's slights in the past. And until they resolve that dispute, there won't be an AG. I'm pretty sure Trump will go for the first group because that's his personality, but that's basically what's going on. I can't even imagine that my name is in the mix because nobody's called me. And before your name gets in the mix, they call you for permission to do background checks on you.
There would be nobody better than you in America. And again, and I'm not saying that because we're friends. I'm saying that because of the facts. And no one that I know or that I hear, and I say, everybody, if you could show me something different, let me know. No one knows the Constitution and the Bill of Rights more than you do. And how, of course, week after week, we've been going year after year, right. How they're stealing it from us.
That's why the government is not interested in having an attorney general. This is not just Trump. This is any government.
Yeah, I know.
Who would take meaningfully and literally the Constitution and the Bill of Rights because it would be an impediment to their designs. And of course, it was intended to be an impediment to their designs, to restrain the government. Jefferson referred to it as to tie the government down with the chains of the Constitution. Yeah. This is not just Trump. Any president in the modern era is not interested in being tied down. They want to be liberated to do whatever they want.
You know, so far, Trump has announced the appointees of a number of people. And I'd like to talk to you about that and what you think about that and some of the people that he's appointed. You know, as you well know, because you were here and you've been doing it many times for me in the Occupy Peace movement, my passion is peace. I'm a warrior for the Prince of Peace. And Trump said that if he gets elected, you know, he's going to be for peace. And so far from the people that he's appointed, it looks like maybe there'll be peace in Ukraine, but not in Israel.
No, not at all. His ambassador to the UN doesn't believe in the freedom of speech on college campuses, and she's an ardent Zionist. Now, that's not a policy-making position, and basically that job, they just tell you how to vote and you vote that way. But it is important because it involves, as Professor Sachs points out, the apex of relationships with all other countries in the world. She will continue the isolation of the United States and Israel at the UN. The National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, whom I know, argued on the floor of the House of Representatives that Biden should give long-range Tomahawk missiles to Zelensky, missiles that can reach Moscow. That, of course, would start World War III. This is the person whose office will be in the West Wing and able to whisper into Trump's ear every day. This does not require Senate confirmation. The rumors on Secretary of State seem to focus around Senator Marco Rubio, who is an ardent neocon and Zionist. Even arguably, as Max Blumenthal points out, a terrorist because of the violence that he has caused to be funded in Nicaragua and Venezuela against the governments that he opposes. And if all this was not enough, last night the Trump team announced the designation of my friend and colleague from Fox and Friends, Pete Hegseth, to be Secretary of Defense. Pete is extremely articulate, extremely likable, but probably the least qualified Secretary of Defense in history. He is an ardent Zionist. The Secretary of Defense should be able to employ strategic reasoning, have management skills, have empathy, and be able to articulate policy. He's very smart. He can certainly articulate policy. He has no strategic reasoning, absolutely zero management skills to run the largest organization on the planet with 2.5 million employees, half civilian, half military. He has no empathy. He told Joe Biden that Biden should bomb cultural sites in Tehran. Now, if Biden had done that, the Russians would be bombing cultural sites in Colorado. I mean, this is just outrageous advice to give the President of the United States. Secretary of Defense should be a stopgap on a bellicose president to warn him of the natural and probable consequences of his executed bellicosity. Pete Hegseth, for all of his charm and grace, and he has a lot of it, will be an enabler to Donald Trump, not a stopgap. So this stuff doesn't look good. Our libertarian friends who gleefully voted for Donald Trump because they felt he was the lesser of two evils should be crying in their espresso this morning because in some of these cases, it is worse than the people Biden appointed. And in the Hegseth case, it's probably worse than Pompeo. At least Pompeo has 4 years at West Point and many, many years of managerial experience. Pete has none.
Yeah, but again, look at one after another. Go back. I mean, look at the clown they got now as a Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin. Go back to the one. What did Obama, Mad Dog Mattis? Did Trump bring him in?
Mattis was highly respected by the military and by international diplomats. He was a 4-star Marine Corps general. That's why Trump fired him, because Mattis tried to dial back Trump's bellicose instincts. I mean, can you imagine Marco Rubio going nose to nose with Sergei Lavrov, the dean of the dean of diplomats in the world, the Russian foreign minister?
I mean, Rubio, what a little clown boy of nothing. A little boy of nothing. An arrogant little piece of scum. Oh, you forgot another. Oh, no, you forget. How about the other guy, that Huckleberry? What's his name? Mike
Huckabee. So Mike is of the view that there's no such thing as Palestine. It's Israel. There's no such thing as the West Bank. It's Samaria. There's no such thing as Lower Lebanon. It's Judea. There's no such thing as the occupation. Even the Israeli generals who were in charge of the military in Gaza referred to it as an occupation. One of them, after he retired, referred to it as an open-air concentration camp. Oh, no. According to Mike, that's not true.
No, you see, he's an evangelical Christian.
Oh, according to him,
God.
By the way, Pete Hegseth is in this same category. God the Father gave this land to the Jews 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Forget about Christianity and Jesus. The current day Jews are entitled to what God the Father gave their predecessors. Yep. This is international law, according to these people.
Yep. And Trump, by the way, you should hear the comment he made about that Huckleberry guy. How he's so pro-Israel, and we love him and the Jewish people love him.
Well, that is true. Trump probably loves him and the Jewish people do love him. But the attitude that Mike has, also a very charming and affable guy, the attitude that Mike has, that Pete Huckabee has, that Marco Rubio has, Gerald, this is no laughing matter. This will bring us to World War III.
There's not a word about peace in Israel. Nothing is being mentioned about it. And every day, I got to read this stuff. I go to Middle East Monitor, Middle East Eye. I go to, all the and of course, I go to the Israeli sites, Haaretz, Times of Israel.
And I read Haaretz every day. I
Yeah.
mean, Haaretz reminded us that Netanyahu has to testify in his own case in December, and he's trying to square him out of it.
Yep.
The courts have ruled so far that he has to show up. I thought the case was in abeyance, but it's not.
And so when I look at these pictures every day of how these people are suffering in front of everybody's eyes,
Yes.
it's heartbreaking.
Yes, it is, Gerald.
And where is the outrage?
Here and in few other places.
Where is the outrage? These people, and here's more. How about the Blinken Biden bullshit? Oh, we were going to give them 30 days. Remember? We're going to give them 30 days. And now those 30 days are up where they have to bring in the food and medicine and everything else that they're supposed to be bringing in. And that lousy piece of scum crap Blinken bullshitted yesterday that Israel has lived up to their promise. And of course, the facts came out. They're not letting the trucks in. They're not letting hardly anything come in. So all it is, Judge, is one freak show after another.
Yes.
It's just a different group of freaks. Again, this is the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus. It's a freak show. Step right up. Step right up. See the lying little clown. See the piece of crap. Step right up. Step right up.
You know, the only reason we get to vote is because it doesn't really make a difference. Yeah. Oh, the tone is different and the bombast is different and the appearance is different. But the military, industrial, banking, pharmaceutical, surveillance, warfare, welfare complex goes on and on and on, no matter who's in the White House. Trump promised to bring peace. He's already agitating for war. Trump promised to dial back inflation if he imposes his tariffs. Oh my God, a toaster will cost $100 instead of $29 at Walmart, if there is a Walmart, because 90% of what Walmart sells comes from China.
Well, I got to tell you, here's what I believe, by the way. I believe we should put the same laws of tariffs that used to exist in the 1960s, when there used to be a thing called manufacturing in America. And when they brought, when this guy, remember him?
Yeah.
Slick Willie Clinton gave us NAFTA and brought China into the World Trade Organization, and manufacturing escaped America. It was going down before that, made a bad situation worse. But going back to Trump, the tax cuts, his tax cuts in 2017, according to the Tax Policy Center, the 1% got 64% of them.
Yes, and that's the 1% that he claims to be in. Who knows how rich he is, but his buddies are in that 1%. Let's put it that way.
And it shows you that the only thing in America that talks is money. Money talks, bullshit walks. Look at the guy Musk. How much did he give him? $150 million? Hey, I'm Musk. Hey, I could do anything I want. Hey, well, how about me? Hey, you're just a little guinea from the Bronx. You don't count. You're not an Elon Musk. You're not a billionaire. You're a nobody. Everybody out there, remember, you're nothing. You're nothing. Only the billionaires and the money. Maybe we'll have an Off With Their Heads 2.0 sometime.
This Musk Ramaswamy thing, of course, requires congressional legislation. They don't have the authority even to meet. They can recommend what they want to Trump. But, you know, if you take, I may have said this, and if I have, stop me. If you take the Ukraine war out of the picture, because it didn't exist in Trump's administration, Trump spent more in 4 years than Biden did. Trump loves debt. And now Trump wants to cut taxes. I'm all in favor of cutting taxes, but these people are not going to cut spending.
No.
If Colonel McGregor were the Secretary of Defense, 3/4 of the 850 military installations around the world that the empire has built would be closed. Pete Hegseth will build more.
Trump is saying that he's going to, from what I've read, they're going to expand the defense budget.
Wow. Our defense budget now is more than the next 10 countries combined, which of course includes Russia, which has a bigger army, and China, which has a bigger navy. Now, how do they do it on such little amounts of money? Well, they don't have a military industrial complex bribing the legislative branch like we do.
Yeah. So you're going to keep ramping it up. And again, the tax cuts that you're talking, what you're saying about Trump and the debt level, so many of the people voted for Trump. The major reason, according to the exit polls, was it's the economy, stupid. And people can't afford to go shopping. I go, I only buy organic foods. I can't believe how expensive they are. I could afford it. And I'm saying, how could people afford this stuff? So they voted for Trump in the belief that he is going to make the economic situation better. Going back to the tax cuts, when he did that in 2017, the bullshit that he spewed out was they're going to use these tax cuts for capital improvements. And that means they're going to create jobs and build the self-sustaining economy.
Didn't happen.
In 2018 was the biggest year of stock buybacks ever. That's what they used the money for. And again, how about tax cuts for we, the plantation workers of Slavelandia? He also came out and said he was going to do away with the federal income tax. He suggested that. And that'd be great. But here's what, going back to Trump, he's the guy that everybody forgets, and they say that they were, because of the pandemic and what it did, that's why they voted for Trump, because it ruined their lives. Trump was the one that closed down the country. Correct. On May 13th, 2020, Black Friday, Friday the 13th. He's the one that pushed the Operation Warp Speed jab and bragged about it. He's the guy that pumped in trillions of fake money backed by nothing and printed on nothing to artificially boost the economy and forced the Federal Reserve to bring interest rates to zero. That's what created inflation. Biden kept it going. Both did the same thing.
Correct. And he'll probably do the same thing again and won't care about what debt he pushes on to future generations.
No.
That's why I have argued we don't have two parties. We have one big government party, has a Republican wing with their favorites, a Democrat wing with their favorites, but they're basically all in favor of the same thing. I mean, unless the Congress were filled with Thomas Massey's and Ron Paul's or Gerald Celenti's who truly believe in limited government, you're not going to see the changes that we hope for.
Look at the people he's brought in. Look at the people he's brought in. It's the same gang.
Yeah.
Who's that CIA guy that he brought in?
Oh, John Ratcliffe. The CIA will love John. He will continue to allow them to do all the secret wars, all the coups d'etat, all the terrorist activity that they've engaged in.
Yeah, this is from Haaretz. Trump names John Radcliffe skeptic of Biden's Israel strategy and vocal Iran critic as CIA director. That's their language. And Radcliffe also praised Israel for its action against Iran over the past several months, telling Fox News that, quote, what Israel has done is essentially employ a Trump doctrine, a maximum pressure campaign, understanding the only way to deter terrorists, you ready for this? Like Iran. Iran's a terrorist, by the way, right? And their proxies, you ready? is to put your foot on their throat. Israel has done that. We should be assisting Israel in doing so.
I wonder what Vladimir Putin would have to say about that.
Imagine this language.
Yeah, well,
Put your foot on their throat.
This is what Trump is bringing us, Gerald, and we better get ready for it because he's got probably 2 years. I would imagine in 2 years, the Democrats will take over the House. It's another crazy thing he's doing. He's really undercutting the Republicans in the House. He's got 3 sitting Republican members of Congress going into his cabinet or his administration. Those seats can't be replaced for 90 days. That might be enough to give the Democrats the majority in the House. I don't even know if his people realize that.
But again, look at the people that this guy. I mean, could you imagine we should put your foot on their throat?
Well, that's the type of bellicose language that appeals to Trump. I mean, if Trump watched that, and he spends a lot of time watching Fox, so he probably did, or at least it was reported to him, he probably loved it because that's the type of language that he appreciates. It's reprehensible in anybody in the government. We are not at war with Iran.
No.
But that's, thought there was an announcement about Rubio, but I misread it. That's what Trump wants.
Again, this is, if they ramp up this war against Iran, this is going to be the beginning of nuclear annihilation. Because as I said, Israel is nothing more than a bully picking on little kids, little tiny Gaza, little Lebanon, a country the size of Connecticut with 5.7 million people. They don't have the weapons. They don't have the tanks. They don't have the planes, the jets, the missiles. Are you going to go against Iran? 91 million people? Very advanced military? No way in the world would America or with Israel defeat Iran. Because everybody understand America has not won a war since World War II. Oh, and they wouldn't have won that one without the Russians. You lost the Iraq War. You lost the Afghan War. You lost the Vietnam War. Oh, you're going to beat Iran? We got mentally ill people in charge over here, and by their words and by their deeds, you shall know them.
Agreed.
And they're right there for everybody to listen to, see, and understand, unless you're deaf, dumb, and blind.
Agreed.
Well, Judge, thanks for being here, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, sorry it was such an unpleasant conversation, but we have a duty to the people that watch to express our opinion on the awful things that are likely to happen to them. And that's what you and I do. And I'm happy to be your friend and to be a part of this every Wednesday.
Well, I'm honored, and I'm honored to be your friend. I'm very, very blessed. And everybody understand this. Want to make this really clear. Speaking for myself, and I would believe the judge would agree, we don't support any of them. Couldn't stand Harris. Didn't like Trump. Again, you look at the covers of our Trends Journal magazine. It was what? The Disney White House. Minnie Mouse versus Donald Duck. You look at one of our other covers. It was, one after another. Yeah. Numbskull's race to the White House. So I want to make this clear to everybody. It's not, we don't like this. I don't like any of them. They're disgusting to me. And we need a new third party, and we need the judge to be president of the United States. Judge, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Gerald. All the best, my friend.
All the best to you, too.